Hello, and welcome to the Medically Empowered Moms podcast. I am your host, Karina Hogan. I am a special needs coach where I help divorced special needs moms like yourself navigate the challenges with caring for your newly diagnosed medically complex child. I help you to empower yourself to create an aligned life with a healthy mindset, prioritize yourself, build your confidence 2.0 style, and implement simple strategies for effective communication and healthy boundaries. I am a special needs mom myself, and I am here to tell you that you can parent how you like, and your child's goals have no timeline. So let's get into it. Hello and welcome back, mamas. Hope you guys are having a wonderful week. I have been recovering because I got hit with COVID for the second time. Yeah. So 6 days it took me out. And today is actually one of the days that I have started feeling better. So COVID is still a real thing. So if people don't know. And me working in healthcare because I am a CAT scan tech, it's inevitable because I do have direct contact with patients. So it is what it is. So in today's episode, I wanted to continue my story and my journey with being a special needs mom with a medically complex child. So my daughter Sophia, like I stated in the previous episode, my daughter Sophia didn't really start walking until 2017. You know, there have been many therapies involved, feeding clinics, and some things have just taken a back burner for right now, because we really wanted her to be mobile, to be independently walking, and we did accomplish that. So kind of fast forward, 2018 was not a great year. My dad had passed away from a stroke, and he also had esophageal cancer. So that kind of led to the downward spiral in my marriage, and just the depression went full on when I got divorced in 2019. And just all of a sudden, I found myself with my two daughters. My oldest stepdaughter had left to go back to live in California with her mom. And I was left to pick up the pieces as life as a single woman with kids, and had no fucking clue on what I was going to do or what kind of routines or what kind of system I was going to set up for my kids. So naturally, I had to move into an apartment because where I lived at the time, it was a small town and everything was super expensive. Mind you, I hadn't done apartment living in 20 years. And here I was with two special needs kids in an apartment, trying to figure out my life and trying to figure out what the next step was. How am I going to rebuild my life? Because my confidence was shot. Fucking life sucked. And I was going through a very difficult, bitter divorce with my ex because he was fighting over property. And it just kind of just crumbles on top of you, especially when you have these special needs kids. One of them has a lot of complex medical issues, and you're trying to just figure out your life, and everything just is like, what the fuck? Like, how am I supposed to navigate through all this? So I slipped into a really, really bad depression. And for a period of time, I was trying to get back with my ex-husband because I thought, well, since maybe this might work, maybe I might work this out, maybe it could be better this time, you know. And a lot of it was because I was terrified, because I thought I couldn't make it out on my own. Considering that friends, family have told me, no, you can do this. Fuck him. You can do this. Okay. And this is nothing bashing my ex-husband. It's just feelings that I had at the time. So naturally, at some point, I had to give in with all the fighting and him, leaving me with the kids' responsibility 100% of the time and just wanting to do his own life, which he's more than perfectly able to do. So I had to figure out as far as what kind of system I was going to put together for my kids, what kind of routines I was going to do. And mind you, it wasn't perfect. None of us are perfect, especially when we're trying to navigate. All of a sudden, we are a single woman with children and we have to co-parent. We have to come up with schedules. We have to establish, equal parenting time and all those things that just go into it. Appointments, therapies, school IEPs, all that stuff. And it was just a mind fuck for me because I had no idea how I was going to pull all this off. And then what I started doing is I started to get back into some of the passions that I have. One of the passions was teaching. And so I started to do that so I can generate some extra income to help pay for some of these medical expenses, to just help me out financially. And then I started to pick myself back up where I bought a home. I moved out of the state of Indiana to go back to Illinois so that I can have a lesser commute to my job and just to pick up the pieces of my life. And said, I want more. I want to do things. I want things for my kids. I want to put them in a better school district. And that's exactly what I did. I started researching as far as what town I wanted to live in and what the best school districts were. And magically, I was able to find a good school system for my kids to make sure that they get the help that they need and make sure that they thrive with their goals. And as special needs parents, that's what we strive for. And, those goals for her, I don't put a time limit on them because it's when she's ready to achieve them. And the more we can continue to work on them with her every day, the further she gets and the closer she gets. So journaling was a good outlet for me, just to really just get those feelings out. I went to therapy. I did all those things because I had to process not only dealing with a child who has autism, but also coping with a child that has all these medical complexities. And what's life going to look like for her? What's life going to be for her? And then other thoughts kind of just started going, what about relationships? What about if I wanted to start dating again? How would that look? And mind you, it's not that I didn't go out and date, because I did. And I did meet a couple of wonderful people. However, they were just not ready for the type of relationship that I need. And it's okay to let people go because sometimes they're there to teach you a lesson. They're there to shape you up to be a better person. And we just take it as, okay, I learned something from this person. I learned this type of lesson. As far as the future for my daughter, Sophia, it's very unknown. But I can tell you with the questions that I've asked in the Facebook group of kids with the same condition as hers, their lifespan and longevity is not long. So as a mom, what I have to do is do my due diligence to make sure that I give her the best life I can for as long as I can. And even though that's a hard pill to swallow and to listen to as a mom, but it's the reality. So what we can do as parents is give them the best life that we can. Give them that bucket list of things to do. and make sure that they enjoy life to the fullest. Because we have to remember, nothing is ever promised. Tomorrow is not promised. So why don't we live life like if it was the last day? And I can tell you, it's challenging. It is a challenge and it is a struggle because my daughter is nonverbal and I have to decode a lot of her needs and her wants. It's a struggle to co-parent, but I think, like I've said in my other episode in part 1, my ex-husband is processing the way he deals with things on his own. Do we talk about it? No. Because the thing is that I want to keep a civil co-parenting interaction because that is the healthiest thing that I can bring to my kids. There's a lot of unknown, and as special needs moms with complex kids that have medical issues, the unknown scares us. But you know what? We have to take the bull by the horns and not be afraid. We have to do the things that are uncomfortable. And that is one of the things that my daughter Sophia has taught me, is to be uncomfortable, and we have to do the hard things. So I hope this episode was helpful for you. I know sometimes it's difficult to tell your story, but I'm interested in your story. So if you want to share your story, I can share it on a future episode. Please send me an email. My email is in the show notes. Head over on to Instagram. Let's chat on Instagram. We can talk about anything that you want. So I hope this was really helpful for you, because I feel like telling my story can reach people and can really bring value to you. So thank you for listening to this episode, and I will talk to you guys next week. Thank you for listening and joining me on this podcast. If you would like to share your story or have any questions, please reach out to me via email at thecoparentingmama.com. Head on over to Instagram, shoot me a DM at karina.hogan. Let's chat and get to know each other. My DMs are always open, and I'm here to listen and support you. Remember, mamas, thriving moms equals thriving kids. Healthy parenting starts with you. Thank you for listening.